Good morning, everyone. Sorry for the delay. I just had a hell of a time yesterday. It happens when you have snow days like we do. In the last video, we discussed the blood spatter. Now I'd like to discuss something that I don't think a lot of people really took into consideration when it comes to the Stephen Avery case, and that is the bullet that was found in Stephen Avery's garage. Now, I don't know how many of you know how guns work, but when you fire a gun, whether it's a rifle or a handgun, and the bullet exits the barrel, gunpowder stippling will flare out and will land on damn near anything. It'll land on your hands. It'll land on the person, the victim being shot. It will land on anything surrounding it. And oftentimes, investigators will use this to determine how far away the killer was at the time of the shot. Because, the farther away you are, the less stippling actually hits the victim. And they can also use this to determine if that person has or was the person who fired the gun. Because whether it's a rifle or a handgun, stippling will hit the person who has fired the gun. It will hit their hands, usually, around here. I want to know if anybody thought of that and checked Stephen Avery's hands for gunpowder stippling. Gunpowder stippling can often stay on the skin for quite some time. It doesn't matter how much you wash your hands. Now, true, if he was wearing gloves, depending on the type of gloves, that would prevent the gunpowder stippling from sticking to him. However, there should have been gunpowder stippling. Now, you wouldn't have seen any on Teresa Halbach's remains because she was burned. That is something else that we need to address. I'll talk about that in a minute. But that's my question to investigators. Was Stephen Avery tested for gunpowder stippling? Were his hands tested for gunpowder stippling? If not, you can't really place the gun in his hands. While the gun was registered to him, first of all, why would anybody use a gun registered to themselves for a murder? I mean, come on, a blind monkey fucking a coconut would have figured that one out. Second of all, the Averys have stated that they didn't lock their doors. They lived on a family compound. Why would they lock their doors? If you can't trust your family, who can you fucking trust? And if it's one of his family members that committed this murder, they had access to his gun. So that's point number one. Point number two is this. Do you know how hot you have to get a fire to burn a body? It's incredible. Like, I have a wood burning stove in my office, okay? It's this little box of iron, and I have to heat that motherfucker up just to get the back part of it to actually be able to burn something. Like, the further back you push stuff, the less it'll burn because the oxygen's not getting there. You have to warm it up a little bit first. The human body is made almost completely of water. And so when you just throw a body on a fire, you have to keep adding wood in order to keep that fire hot enough to burn that body. Not only that, but burning flesh is just a god-awful stench. Somebody would have smelled that. This is why the ancient Romans, when they built their funeral pyres, you'll notice that it's like a stand of wood, but they wouldn't just make it out of wood. They soaked it in oil as well. And the reason was that they realized that they had to have that fire super fucking heated in order to burn the body. Go to a crematorium, see how hot they have to get the flames in order to cremate a body. The fact is that you can't just throw pieces of a body onto a fire and expect it to burn. You'll have to keep adding wood in order to keep that fire hot enough to burn the remains. Were there any tool marks on any of the bones? That's question number one. If there were no tool marks on those bones, then the narrative given by Brendan Dassey in his coerced confession doesn't fit. That's point number one. Point number two is, how far down in the ashes did they have to dig to find the bones? And why were they digging to find the bones if she was still only missing? That's my video. Those are my questions. We'll talk some more about some of this stuff in the very next video. Thank you for watching.